Welcome to the show. This is No Interference. We are your host, Westside, Big Sass, and the Bull. We're just going to dive into it. We're in the heat of possibly history in the NBA playoffs. Celtics, once on the brink of elimination, down 0-3, officially bring it back. Series is tied up, going to that ever so important Game 7 in Boston. So, with that on the line, I feel like there's no other place to start but there. So, resident Celtics fan, take it away.
Well, where do we start? Celtics were down 0-3. Game 6 was last night. It was a roller coaster of emotions for sure. I thought we choked the season away until Derrick White hit that put back with 0.1 seconds left when it left his hands. It was funny because it's hard to tell when shots are that close from like the release of the hands in real time. And when he first did the putback, I jumped up because I was like, it looked like he made it. But then immediately Stan Van Gundy?
I think it was him. He was like, he didn't get it
Which
off.
one's Stan and which one? Yeah, Stan Van Gundy. I always say Jeff or Stan, the wrong ones. But he's like, I don't think he got it off. So then as soon as my emotions were high, my emotions were down. I was like, no. And then you see the ref on the floor, and the ref didn't even review it. He was like, points! He did like the hand motion. And I was like, oh, yes. And then I think they went to review it. And then finally, the TNT broadcast showed the replay, and it showed it like as the ball was rimming out, and it was like 0.3 seconds left. I was like, oh no, I don't think he got it off. And then it was the perfect putback is when you don't really do anything with your
Soft
hand.
hands.
You just kind of palm the ball in one motion. You catch it, keep the hand still, and just let it go. Like sometimes when you try to grab it and like put it back in.
Well, that's what, because the fingers always, as soon as you see your fingers like this, they're like, that's a reference point for the refs. So like, he didn't let go. But if you just do that, it's even if it is close, which his wasn't close. I think his was clearly he got it off. But the close ones, when you just kind of do that, there's nothing you can. You're like, oh, I don't know when it left hand or what.
Well. So you're saying the finger follow through is better?
No, I'm saying the palm, just the tap.
Oh,
the
yeah. Well, because earlier in the playoffs, Marcus Smart against the 76ers, I believe, he had the three-pointer, and he had the follow-through, and it was literally probably with 0.1 seconds left. It was out of his palm, but it was still the fingertips. So to prove your point, yep, that's a big difference.
Who shot the three before he?
It was Marcus Smart.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
He was the only one all game. I'm totally against that shot, which it looked like he was the second.
When you're down
it looks
one,
like
it's tough.
It looks like they wanted to get Jason Tatum the ball for a downhill action to maybe get a foul or something, even though there's only 3 seconds left. I'm not really sure. But then that was kind of covered, so Marcus Smart then came off a screen, caught it, and did what he was supposed to do. He called it, turned, and shot it right away. So there's a chance for an offensive rebound. That's what you want to happen. And then it was like halfway down, and then it rimmed out, and everybody's saying, well, like Spoelstra after the game was like, it could have gone anywhere else but there, and Derrick White for the rebound. But I will say, if it had gone anywhere else, Jason Tatum was the only other person that was around, and Jason Tatum actually jumped up for the putback. Who knows if that would have happened, but my other point was Marcus Smart was the only person on the team really all night that was hitting threes. Tatum was 0 for 8. Derrick White hit 3. He was 3 for 7. But Jaylen Brown 0 for 4. Al Horford 0 for 2. Grant Williams 0 for 3. And then Marcus Smart was 4 for 11, but he was 4 for like 6, so he kind of cooled down too. Just an overall game besides the ending, I guess. Like I said, it was a roller coaster. The Celtics seemed like they had control all game. Jimmy Butler and Bam were playing terrible offensively. We just couldn't. You son of a bitch.
Just gotta make sure I was awake.
He for 10:30.
I had 7 alarms set just in case. I've been doing that since the high school days.
But he said better late than never last night when he said his alarms. But anyways,
9 a.m. was the first one, but I woke up early.
Okay.
Anyway,
you gave yourself backups. I like the commitment. So yeah, we had like 4 or 5 different times where we had 10-point leads and then just couldn't pull away in typical Celtics fashion like the last few years. It seems like that's always the case. Either they blow out teams or they play terrible or they should blow them out and they just can't pull away. Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent again shot lights out from 3, 2 for 3 for Max Strus too. Actually, Caleb Martin was I was looking at the wrong stats. 2 for 5 for Max Strus, 4 for 8. Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent was 3 for 6. Duncan Robinson was 3 for 6. Talk about choke job. He missed 2 open threes at the end of the game with like
Shit.
under 2 minutes left. That would have tied the game, or they probably would have won the game if he hit those 2 threes. And they were wide open, so the NBA gods were on our side for those.
Yeah. As much as a Jimmy Butler fan I am, to go 5 of 21 after talking all that smack is
Guaranteed to
pretty
win.
embarrassing, to be honest. Yeah, guaranteed to win in Boston.
He guaranteed to win in Game 6 too.
Oh yeah, he did.
He's just fraudulent now. You can't guarantee a win after every game. Eventually, you're going to be right.
Yeah,
or not.
or not.
Yeah, or not. Well, it was funny before you say something. What your thought, Taylor? Because Jimmy Butler, the social medias love him. ESPN, Bleacher Report, and all that. So after every game, the last 2 games we've won before last night, Jimmy Butler was on the bench like smiling, his stupid smirk. And it would be like ESPN, like game 1 or after game 4 when we won, it said, Jimmy Butler smiling at the end of the game.
They're like, oh, that smile must mean something.
Yeah,
it means they're going to lose, motherfuckers.
Then game 5 we won, and Jimmy Butler was sitting at the bench smiling, and ESPN posted, is like, Jimmy Butler smiling. Somebody in the comments like, you posted the same thing last week and they still lost. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Jimmy Butler says we're going to go to Miami and we're going to win. And then, yeah, it's kind of rough to he pulled a Jason Tatum where he came through in the last like 2 minutes, hit his 3. I think he hit 2 threes, and he hit and then he hit 2 3. He hit the 3 free throws to put him up by 1. So I mean, he played good when it mattered most, but if he had played anywhere relative to what he's capable of the rest of the game, they probably would have won.
Yeah, if he played anywhere, like the first 3 games.
So, just for the audience, I haven't been watching the games because the first 3 I watched, Celtics lost. So I told Trevor I was going to stop watching them. So I've not watched a game. I've actually gone out of my way. I was telling Trevor, I was at the gym the other night for game 5, and there's a TV in front of me. And I looked up and it was green. I was like, oh God, no. And it was the Dallas Stars hockey game. So I was like, oh.
But you just saw green.
Yeah. But I've been going out of my way to not watch any Celtics, and it's been working.
Dedication.
But I've been reading a lot, and a lot of people have been talking about, Jimmy Butler. He is a star in the league. A lot of people love him because of the way he plays, especially his younger self was like shutdown defender. He, makes tough shots. He's a little bit of a throwback player. So he's not, just fast break, jacking up threes and whatnot. But some of his flaws are, he's not the best ball handler in the world. In that you're not going to see him like, I don't know, Jason Tatum or even like LeBron, where, he's running around, dribbling, crossing over, trying to get the matchup. He gets to.
That was a horrible comparison.
For what?
LeBron James? You're going to compare somebody's good dribbling to LeBron James?
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to think of players.
You could have said like James Harden, and it would be like, that makes sense.
Well, for a 6'8" guy,
LeBron can get. I was trying to name people in the playoffs as an example. Like LeBron, he can get to where he can get by. He gets by people still. It's not really dribbling.
I know what you mean.
Well, that's because of his freak athleticism.
Yeah, but Jimmy, he more so. He tries to get to his spots. It's, he either catches the ball there, or if he has the matchup, he will back you down from the 3 to get to where he wants to, and then he kind of gets settled. He pulls up, and he's really good at it. But if he doesn't get to his spots, he likes the right side of the court. Like if you keep him on the right side,
right along.
Yeah, if I was playing defense on him, even when he didn't have the ball, I would just make it a nightmare for him to try to get on that side of the court. And it seems like the Celtics, again, this is just from what I've been reading because I've been doing my due diligence to not watch these games. The Celtics have been doing a much better job of just will keep the ball out of Butler's hands or make his life hard, and then the rest of you better step up. So far, Bam hasn't, and the other guys, they are shooting efficiently, but none of them, I'm not worried about any of those guys going off for 30 and beating you.
Yeah,
But
Bam was an issue in the first 3 games, but he seems to have fizzled out a little bit.
you know who Bam kind of reminds me of? He's obviously, I think, better, but he reminds me of Kenneth Fareed.
Hmm.
Just think, like early career. I know Bam's been in the league a while now, but early career Kenneth Fareed, he was like this freak big man. Got rebounds, put backs, had a little bit of a touch, and it was always like, oh man, he's just going to be. I think Bam's past this point, but it was always like, oh, he's just going to dominate. And you would see like in the Olympics or random games, he would like go off, and you'd be like, oh, this guy's one of the best bigs in the league. And then when it mattered, it was just like, oh, he got you 18 and 10, and that was all he would do. And I think Bam's probably past this point where we all realize what Bam is, but Bam had, I feel like, all this hype at one point. And like everyone's like, oh, he guards all 5 positions. He's really athletic. He has touch. But big men who can't post up,
Yeah, I mean
worthless.
he's much more of like face to the basket type of, he's an undersized center and not as much
Who's
as
a weight
today's NBA, but yeah, I mean he's not the biggest guy. He's got a really quick first
first
step,
step. Yep.
and he likes to face up guys in the post and
You
use
know,
that he likes to use a little jab and then go around. He
Mhm.
did it to Al Horford in the first 3
you know how
games.
you
He was
defend
splitting
Bam?
defenders in the first
Make
3
him
games. Duncan.
If you make Bam dribble twice, he's useless.
I feel like it's like
I
that with a
mean,
lot of centers,
yeah,
ball
we were
handling
talking
wise.
about before the show started. The Celtics have done a really they changed they're switching everything. So even when Bam's getting a matchup you'd expect, like a smaller player, like a forward or a guard or something, um, the first instinct to what you'd want to see on a big guy on a smaller guy is to use your strength and back him down, not use your quickness, which is Bam's strength is to use his quickness on other guys at his position, not really using his size. So he's in an awkward position for these smaller guys where he's like trying to force the issue too much. And it wasn't really as much last night. Like he only had he didn't have a turnover last night, but he shot terrible, 4 for 16 like Jimmy Butler. But in game 5, he had a ton of turnovers, especially earlier in the game, trying to, back down a smaller defender, and it was just awkward and he would lose the ball or something would happen. So I think, the Celtics have done a good job playing defense on him and Jimmy Butler the last couple of games, keeping Jimmy from easy looks at the rim. And he just hasn't been as hot as he was in the first few games with those mid-range shots. Derrick White, credit to him, because Jimmy Butler was kind of eating his lunch the first 2 games or so. And Derrick White's a second team All NBA defender, and he's blocked. He gets like a block on Jimmy Butler a game. I think last night they said Jimmy Butler's been blocked like 9 times in this series, which is a lot. So credit to
Mm-mm-mm.
the Celtics man to man defense. But I don't know. Game 7.
Game 7. I really
I've
thought
been saying it all.
Yeah.
We all 3 were going to say something.
Someone
I
go.
stopped.
Tell you go.
Well, I was actually going to transition, so if you guys have any more Celtics Heat thoughts,
No, I was just going to say I'm excited
Just
for Game
basketball.
7.
yeah, it's even if the Heat win, it's still going to be crazy. And
No,
like,
nope,
no, it's not.
no. It's a failure.
Jokic is at home just going tire each other out.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. At the same time, yeah, I really thought the NBA scriptwriters wouldn't allow Jokic to get this long of a break, but yeah,
Well,
right here.
I mean, There's a few times where you could be the Lakers. The refs were trying to help the Lakers, but the Nuggets were just too good and overcame it. Um, yeah, I mean, I when we were down 0-3, I was talking the most trash about the Celtics. Which, when you're a fan of the team, I think you have the right to talk trash
Well,
about your
especially
like
after
people
game
say,
3 when they
yeah.
played like complete shit and they gave up. It was disgusting. And then they started, and also, I never really talked about this. I didn't like how they came out. It was what Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart came out. Don't let us get one. Why would they let you get anything? If anything, they want to bring the brooms out. Like what? Come on now.
Well, that was the old Boston Red Sox quote from when the Red Sox came back from '03 and back in the day. And I can't remember
Was
his name because
it a curse?
I don't follow the Red Sox. But yeah, it was the year the Red Sox won the first title and the curse
Since they broke,
since like
yeah, the curse
whatever.
thing.
And they were down 0-3 to the Yankees, and whoever the player was on the Red Sox, he said something like, "Don't let us get one," and then they
Guy,
came
whoever
back
that
from
was it
0-3.
a second baseman or a shortstop on the Yankees who gave up that ground ball? I'm pretty sure that's how they ended up winning too. It was an error,
Yeah,
and they won Game 7. Yeah. Mm.
I mean,
Anyway,
if the Celtics if they do end up winning Game 7, I think the people you have to blame the most is A-Rod and Derek Jeter for being at Game 4. It was a bad omen. Why were two Yankees at
ooh,
a Miami Heat game?
ooh, I
Well,
didn't
does
know
Well,
that. I
Derek
didn't
Jeter's
know that.
Jeter owns the Marlins, or
Oh,
general
I
manager.
didn't know that. Oh, what? He's a general manager of the Marlins.
What is he for the Marlins?
I think he's like a vice president of something.
Yeah,
Okay,
whatever.
let's say he
He's
goes
he
from
will
baseball
he's apparent
in New
Jeter's
York.
apparently the one that traded away all the Marlins good players as soon as he took over.
Yeah.
What?
A-Rod's
I didn't
probably
even
from
know
the
this.
area.
The
He
more I've seen
traded
it, and the only thing
Stanton. He traded Yelich. He traded
Christian
Marcel
Yelich, yeah.
Ozuna.
Oh, that was a while
Traded.
ago then too. Because Christian
They
Yelich,
was all 1 year. They traded like all their talent.
Yeah,
yeah, he's in the Brewers.
he's been there for a while.
Damn,
Yeah.
But
fucking Jeter. You should have shot A-Rod. And the only thing you see about A-Rod nowadays is how Jennifer Lopez broke his heart. But anyway,
mm. So just
Only
while we're
time will heal my wounds.
still in the NBA, did you guys see what Gilbert Arenas said?
Gonna
about
bust a cap in your ass.
wait, what
I
He
he
don't know.
said about Clay?
no about Jokic.
Oh no, did you see what he said about Clay? About the contract extension? They said let's let him hit the free market, see what he's worth. Don't even try and extend him. Like what?
Gilbert Arenas always has something out of pocket to say. What do you say about
Yeah,
Jokic?
I'm pulling the quote up. He was like, uh,
You gotta be a wild guy if you bring a loaded gun and have a
He had
standoff with
several.
another player in the arena.
He had several guns on him
Yeah.
he was
in
like
his
for the
backpack.
so
You
Gilbert
know
Arenas.
the guy that
What?
he got into the thing that caused him to get suspended for the gun, the other guy who was in that incident is in jail for murder.
Yeah, I think I
Wait,
actually knew
what?
that.
The other I can't remember his name, but it was so long ago, but the other guy who got suspended for them both having guns and
Yeah.
apparently
Oh,
pointing them at each
I'm
other. He's
gonna have
in
to look
jail
that one
now
up.
for murder.
Well, at least they seem to both be about that life. Cheese
Yeah.
and rice.
All right,
NBA
go ahead with
players,
the
man.
Jokic.
So Jokic on I think one of his podcasts, he was like and it's not really a bad thing, but he was like for the consumers, nobody wants to watch great teams play. They want to watch great dominant players. For the consumer, Jokic's game is not sexy. It's sexy for basketball players, like oh man, what he's doing is unreal. But if you're not like Giannis or John Morant jumping out of the gym, putting your elbow in the backboard and shooting 50-foot 3-pointers. Other than that, what are the stars doing in those big cities? So no matter how you sell them, unless he's in Boston, New York, LA, no one's going to pay attention to their game.
I agree to a certain extent about
Same.
the big city markets because that's true for a lot of sports. Really, the only sport that's not true for is like the NFL. Um, I disagree with the Jokic play a little bit because, for example, I was watching the game like a week ago and my wife was like, "Who's that fat guy running around?"
That
when he
Instagram
was like,
video, I think we
That's a
both
great
sent
point.
it. Jokic looks like a walrus on land panicking, and then he jacks up a tomahawk 3-pointer that's wetter than water.
Yeah, that was funny. But like people who like she was watching the game and she's like, "Who's that big fat guy running around?" And he was making shots and stuff. I was like, "That's Jokic. She's the MVP." She was like, "No way." But
It's Joker
she it caught it
back to
caught it
back.
caught her attention. And she watched Celtics games with me, but that's it.
I
Yeah,
So
no,
think the biggest
yeah,
issue is just playing in Denver. Like on the East Coast, like we never get to watch them play really.
yeah. I don't know.
that's
I
a
feel like for
problem.
a
Like
any casual fan, Jokic doesn't look like your typical, pro basketball star. But he is the best player in basketball right now. Unless his
well,
game isn't pretty. Like it's not the highlights, flashy dunks, all that crazy stuff. But when it comes to actual basketball, he's a fucking god. It is what it is.
well, throughout
Well,
this playoff
here's
run, so many people in my work have been like, "Oh, Jokic, he's actually amazing," and I'm like,
Actually,
Well,
actually, what do you mean?
well,
thanks for showing up."
welcome to the party.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been making highlight reel passes for like 10 years. Um, I mean, you can make the argument about. I mean, maybe Gilbert Arenas was not. Maybe he was just singling out Jokic because it's the finals. But I mean, you ask the regular, like, I don't want to say casual NBA fan, but like somebody who doesn't watch the NBA or pay attention that much, they probably don't even know who like Damian Lillard is. Like, he doesn't even go to the playoffs. He's a superstar.
You don't even go here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he's on the West Coast too.
Yeah.
So
Um,
most casual fans at least know the superstars on every team.
yeah, I would say like an NBA
But a
casual would
non-watcher, yeah,
know
like
who
somebody who really
Jokic.
doesn't watch games, who just happens to be at the bar and looks up, and they wouldn't know, who a lot of them are.
Yeah, so I
Jokic,
guess a little bit to Arenas' point, that would stand true for the big market teams. Like most people who don't pay attention to basketball, they would know who LeBron James is. They'll know who Steph Curry is. They might know who Giannis is. But I mean, outside of that, how many players do, if you don't pay attention to basketball, do you know?
yeah.
Yeah, you're not
And
getting
those
updates,
are
Bleach
two older
Report.
players, and then one, Giannis has been around
We should
for
have
a while.
known
But
that Jokic was destined for greatness when his draft announcement was overshadowed by the
Quesarito,
Quesarito commercial.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, well, he was a late pick, and I'm pretty sure they just shared on. He was on Facebook. It was like 2014, asking on anybody want to play a game of basketball. Like, cause he's
really,
just not very known. He's in Serbia. It is what it is. Um,
I bet
Clearly
you
we
if you
don't
go
get a
to
lot of Serbian
Serbia,
news in America unless it's about basketball or there's other country sports. Like that's the only time we get updates and war, but that's a
do
little
you think he
different.
lives there during the off season?
I think he pulls Alex Ovechkin and just rides around on a boat and like it's like you see snow in the background, but it's like still nice out, and he just has like 15 women around him
He
because
probably, yeah,
he
he's
doesn't start
probably like a
working out
king
until
there.
2 weeks before the season apparently, or until they actually have preseason or whatever they do. That's
Hmm.
either he eats whatever he wants, does whatever he wants, and then
You talking about
basketball
Jokic?
time. Yeah,
I mean, he was overweight when he first came in the league. He's like, I mean, you watch him his first few years, he did look like a fat walrus running around. Now
yeah.
he just looks like a regular guy. Besides that, he's like 7 foot
Hey,
tall.
honestly,
But
his
One of
body
my
type reminds me of yours when it comes. Like he's not fat; he's just big body. Like he doesn't have anything sticking out. He's not like protruding from his
He looks
belly.
like
He's like
he
he's just
looks
wide.
he looks like there's a giant stick shoved up his butt when he runs around, which I can relate to. I look like an idiot when I run around.
the funniest
You
thing
like
is seeing
you
him.
were Joe
Te-
Chicasta, like our size. That's all I'm saying.
That's what I
Like
was
we're
saying.
all like,
That's what I said in the group chat. I was like, back in my heyday, this was
yeah,
me running around looking like there's no chance this
literally
guy can
like,
play, and then it goes in the
and then
Damn,
rim.
literally,
that was my
oh, oh,
favorite.
and then I'm gonna turn around and Jay in your mouth.
That was my favorite thing when we played pickup games all the time at random spots, and you'd be dribbling on the 3 point line, and then there'd be one guy that maybe remembered you, and they'd be like, "Defend him! He can shoot threes. Defend him!"
Literally,
And you would just shoot a three, and then they'd be like, "I told
what the
you."
hell? He can
Yeah,
shoot. He can shoot too every time. Big
I
man
wish
can
it
shoot.
was. Yeah, I wish that was the case still.
It's just funny because in the
Um,
NBA, you're not big man.
Ah, no,
It's
get
just
out there and play guard.
yeah.
I can't do it.
What? You want me to be point guard? What?
Yeah,
Oh, I can't.
dribbling was never a strong suit for me.
It's good times.
That's why I hated playing against you, RJ, because some people would ball pressure me, but yeah, You do the Jim Carrey cable guy defense.
Try getting your head, make it bounce off your own knee.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's hilarious, like watching Jokic. When he gets like a defensive rebound and he just takes off on the fast break, just looks completely unathletic. But the other team on defense is like in a pure panic when he's on the fast break.
Though I mean,
He could do anything.
he's just such a good passer. Like it's dangerous. He does something smart too. He always like kind of puts his dribble like he takes really like he'll I don't know how to explain it really well. Like
Long dribbles.
long dribbles, like not long strides, but like long stride dribbles. Like he'll throw the ball pretty far ahead of him. Obviously, if somebody's like ball pressuring him, that's not the case. But in fast breaks, like you were saying, he'll throw the ball pretty far ahead of him, and you don't have to be that great of a dribbler to get it. A few bounces up the court, and then
He's like
his vision's amazing.
On the fast break, it's like Rajon Rondo and DeMarcus Cousins' body with Steph Curry's range.
That's a pretty good comparison.
Mm-hmm.
DeMarcus Cousins could have been Jokic. He was a good passer. He could shoot, and he just
once he popped his Achilles, it was over.
Yeah,
like when he was on the Pelicans, I made the
Kings.
argument. Yeah,
well,
no. But when he went to the Pelicans and it was him and AD, I would always argue that he was outperforming Anthony Davis.
He did go off on the Pelicans. I keep forgetting that
against the Rockets with like 15 seconds left in the fourth quarter, he went up for a rebound and blew out his Achilles, and that was pretty much his career.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he was. I was a big DeMarcus Cousins fan. Attitude a little bit, but great talent. Great talent.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else y'all want to throw out about the NBA before we move on?
Negative Ghost Rider.
No, the only thing that matters at this point is Game 7.
When's Game 7? Is that Monday?
Monday, 8:30. And then NBA Finals start June 1st, I think. So like Friday.
Nice. All right. So that is all the NBA playoff talk for the day. Transitioning over to the National Football League. The biggest news right now, and y'all can chime in, is probably Deandre Hopkins has been released from the Arizona Cardinals and is now a free agent. Cardinals are eating $20 million roughly to have him not play.
I really thought the Browns were the most embarrassing team in the league, but I think the Cardinals are starting to take that role over pretty. Just take it right out from under them. I just don't understand what's going on there.
While we're on that topic, they are bad, but I think so. They got rid of their GM, who was god awful. They got rid of Kingsbury. Kyler Murray, who knows? He might not even come back this season, depending on how their season goes from his ACL injury. I think they're handling it well because they're cutting the fat off the roster. They're probably going to make a few more trades in season. They're potentially going to end up with the number 1 overall pick. So they can get a new quarterback, or if they believe in Kyler Murray, they can trade that number 1 overall pick for all of King Midas's silver.
I don't care what Kyler Murray's career trajectory is at this point. If Caleb Williams plays like he has his first several years in college, they have to take him.
What do you do with that
full
Kyler
circle moment
contract?
for Kyler Murray. That's what you get for taking Josh Rosen's job and ruining his career.
You can still trade him. Kyler Murray, especially the end of next offseason after probably Joe Burrow and Herbert have signed and maybe even Trevor Lawrence, his contract won't look as terrible, and there probably still
a lot
be
of money.
Yeah, but there'll probably be a team that will. There'll probably still be a team that would take it, and the Cardinals could, if they're rebuilding, they could still like eat some of it to make it a little bit better contract for a team to take.
Guaranteed.
But I think the Cardinals,
freaking idiots.
I think the Cardinals' new staff is playing this exactly how you should.
Well, if they don't plan on doing anything this year, then having an extra $20 million hit you on the cap really doesn't matter. I guess it all depends on what their goal is, but it's ugh.
I don't know if Jonathan Gannon will survive, but
Yeah, it's like new code. Oh, good. I don't know. He
Such
may
a
not
weird
really have
guy.
known what he was signing up for if that was the intentions.
He always wore a hat, sunglasses, and like a hoodie. And he was a defensive coordinator on the Eagles, so he didn't talk that much. Like you would see if you were an Eagles fan, you would see his press conferences or something terrible happened. The NFL media would, show his broad or his interviews. But now that he's head coach, he's got the hat off, the hair's kind of messy, he's got weird looking eyes, not the best deliverer of his message, just awkward guy. I
Oh,
don't like the
jeez.
vibes.
So you're telling me he hid behind the shades and the hat?
Yes.
It was
Anybody looks
incognito.
cool in shades and a hat unless you either look cool or you look like a stalker. And he pulled it off. He looked cool, but when you take the hat and the glasses off, now he looks kind of like a out of the hiding
You should
stalker.
just
You
kept his
know,
The way he
style.
the way he
You
the
should-
way he looked up and down Kyler Murray when they first met, I was like, awkward.
in
Yeah, you should have just
in
kept his
rat
style and rocked it.
in
We were about
rat
to have to stop the podcast. I almost flipped my whole desk. I was close.
Oh, jeez.
in the movie Rat Race, when
I love
they're
that
in
movie.
the guy from Seinfeld Jurassic Park, when he's driving the one guy
Newman?
and they lose the heart, and he's like, we need a nomad, a random, someone no one would miss. And then
Great movie.
the other guy's like,
Mr.
yes,
Bean.
yes, and then he
Mr.
starts looking
Bean.
at him. That's how the Cardinals are looking at Jonathan Gannon.
Oh, I gotta
Oh.
watch that movie now.
Yeah, it's been a
What does he
while, but I
say?
do
He says,
remember that scene.
what is it? I can't even do his
Okay,
voice, Mr.
Mr.
Bean's
Bean.
voice.
It's a hard. Yeah, it's a hard voice.
He's like the guy who's
I'm
in
weaning.
Seinfeld
I'm
and Jurassic.
weaning.
The guy in Jurassic. What's his name? I can't remember his name
I know
either.
it's Newman. That's how you call him, Newman.
But
Yeah.
when he's
Seinfeld.
driving and Mr. Bean he opens it and looks at the heart, right, and he's like, yeah, just has a psycho look in his face.
Because his eyes get
And then
so
it gets
big.
and then it falls in the dirt and stuff, and they they gotta
Coyote.
keep it cold. The coyote runs away.
Yep.
Oh man, totally off
Classic.
topic, but I gotta watch that movie now.
No, I just
Yep.
thought the Cardinals were like, we need to bring in an idiot, and Jonathan
Yeah.
Gannon just walks
God.
in.
That's good.
Uh,
That's good.
The Cardinals GM's like, this is the worst coaching job there could be. Who are we gonna
sitting behind a
find?
tree, like,
Yeah, I mean the Cardinals. Yeah, it's just a mess right now. But
A mess
DeAndre
right
Hopkins.
now, but I think you're making the right decisions.
where's DeAndre
Now,
Hopkins
does
go?
DeAndre Hopkins demand a lot of money on the market, or is he at the point in his career at 30? He'll be 31
33?
during the season.
Is he
Is he
31?
like, I'll just take
He's older.
something so I can be like on a contender?
Someone put out a report last night. I can't remember which NFL reporter it was, but they said that apparently DeAndre Hopkins said that money is more important than going to a winner or something like that.
Well, I just saw a quote from the other day saying he wants obviously a good quarterback, but somebody that lifts everybody else up around him, and he wants a good defense.
Yeah, apparently he said he wants to play with Jalen Hurts. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, well, like we said, so one of y'all said in the group chat yesterday or 2 days ago, I think it was yesterday, that the Ravens are kicking themselves in the butt for signing Odell Beckham Jr. and not
Yeah.
waiting. But
Well,
I mean,
'cause
at
they
the
gave
time, I
him-
guess,
And they gave him so
Yeah.
much money, and it's like,
what 18?
Yeah.
Their hands were a little tied with that situation because
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson had his
He needed,
input with that probably.
they should look at Lamar like,
Yeah.
look what you did, idiot.
yeah. We could have got DeAndre Hopkins, freaking steroid hands himself.
And it's not even like they're like, oh, well, we have Odell, we don't need DeAndre. It's just they give Odell so much money, they could create the cap. It's like, in the NFL, you can definitely create the cap if you need it. But then they'll be putting so much money into here comes one of my typical Ravens jokes, but you're gonna be putting like what, $50 million this year into your receiver room just for Lamar just to overthrow him down the sideline every game.
I mean, I've been saying it for a couple months. I think DeAndre Hopkins would have been a good fit for Lamar Jackson because he's so good at making acrobatic plays, and he doesn't need perfect passes to make plays on the ball. I mean, he's never relied on his physical. Well, I mean, you can argue that the catch radius and stuff is a physical tool, but like speed and size that's not what he has. So, I mean, I think at going into his 30s, DeAndre Hopkins can still be a pretty good receiver on the right team. Maybe not as dominant as he was as a number one receiver, but still really good, I think.
Well, my thing is, I think the this Ravens offense. Of course, there's going to be times in key points in the game when it's like we need to convert this little 8-yard conversion on third down. But I think the way the Ravens offense is built, what they really need is explosive plays from the wide receiver position. Bateman has shown he can do that, but he's also always injured. And then the rookie, what's it? Zayflower? No, what's the
They just
rookie's
drafted,
name?
yeah. Yeah, they just drafted Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers. He can be that guy, but if you're putting out Bateman, Odell, and DeAndre Hopkins, how much playtime is Zay Flowers going to get? And I think he's the type of player this offense needs. They need someone to stretch the field to give them like big chunk plays. Are you really going to have Bateman or Odell or DeAndre Hopkins on the bench for big stretches just so you can fit Zay Flowers in?
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know. I think just based on the reports and the money, I doubt it's going to happen with the Ravens. And maybe the Ravens aren't even interested. I was just reading this article about um Hopkins currently this is on Pro Football Talks article, but it says Hopkins currently expects to secure a significant contract on the open market. And then it says apparently, per multiple sources, Saint Omni is running the show for Hopkins. So if that's the case, the man in the man in the mist. What would be a good name for him? I don't know. He the darkness. He's probably going to get Hopkins as much money as possible. So
Well, what do we think is the best fit for him right now?
if all he cares about is
Well,
money, I don't know. Go to a
name
crap team that'll
some
give you as
teams
much
that could
money.
use him. Patriots could use a DeAndre Hopkins, but would he want to go there? Probably not. Is he?
I think
Well,
the two that make the most sense. I just don't think he'll go to the Bills for whatever reason. So for me, I'm thinking the Chiefs or the Panthers.
I wouldn't want to go play with Bryce Young over Patrick Mahomes.
But the Panthers could throw money at him, and he could be Bryce
Yeah.
Young's number one receiver for the next 2 years.
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, he apparently according to reports he wants money, significant amount still. Which is more important than contending, I guess. But he wants to play with a decent quarterback, which I guess he's kind of
Because he
said
still
that
wants his
too.
stats.
So you didn't want to play with the Cardinals, who have Kyler Murray's not the worst quarterback out there, and you were under contract for a decent amount of money, but you didn't want either of those. So I would say, yeah, I mean, a rookie quarterback like Bryce Young, that's the number one overall in the pick, and a team like the Panthers that could throw money at you. I mean, I think that makes relative sense if he doesn't care about winning right away, which it doesn't sound like that's too important for him. I don't know who do the Browns have at receiver.
I was just looking at the Browns.
Could they do like a Deshaun
Amari
Watson,
Cooper,
DeAndre
Peoples
Hopkins?
Jones,
Yeah, they got Mark
Njoku.
Cooper, Peoples Jones, Marquise Goodwin, AJ Green, Anthony Schwartz.
I thought AJ Green retired.
Oh, maybe it's just cap still on the books. I'm just looking at the cap report.
Yeah, I think he retired. But if they want to give him a little bit of money, I could see that happening.
So they have
I'm sure him and Watson are still close.
The Browns have $7 million in cap, but like we said, they can adjust contracts to make it up. Yeah, if you wanted to, team.
Yeah, I
back
mean
up
Watson's
with
contract's fully
Watson.
guaranteed, so Watson would be like move $20 million down the road.
Packers.
I don't think he wants to go play with Jordan Love.
No, plus the money.
And
Just I think
playing
people need
Green Bay.
receivers. It's cold. He likes stadiums. Texans and
What
Cardinals.
about the Steelers? Play for Tomlin. Kenny Pickett showed some promise last year.
They
There's
have
already there's not a lot of targets
3
to go
good
around.
receivers. Yeah, and Firemouth,
Fryermuth, Deontay Johnson,
Pickens,
Pickens.
and they drafted. I thought they drafted somebody too.
I think they did.
Or
That's not a
they
lot.
signed somebody.
I'm trying to think of a place where he could put up numbers, get paid,
What about the
or
Bears?
potentially win. I wouldn't want to
They
play
just
with.
traded for DJ Moore.
I wouldn't want to play with Fields. You're not getting any numbers playing with Fields.
Hold on.
Well, you don't know. He might make some progress.
He might make progress, but as it stands, Fields might be
Detroit
like the worst.
Lions. Jameson Williams is suspended 6 games.
6 games, yeah.
Jared Goff. They throw the ball a lot. They
Play
just traded
more.
DeAndre Swift. They lost Jamal Williams.
Let me see what the Lions cap number
DeAndre
is.
Hopkins looks at the Lions. He's like, Calvin Johnson went there and didn't do shit.
The Lions apparently have $23 million available.
What about the Colts?
I wouldn't bring him in. It seems like a waste of money. Like they have
Oh,
other
the
holes on
Steelers
defense.
also got Allen Robinson in the offseason, which
Yeah.
out of the Bears and the Rams, this might be his best opportunity to finally turn his career back. Hopefully.
Yeah,
Allen
we'll
Robinson's
see.
got the talent. He's had some bad luck last couple years.
He just didn't fit in the Rams offense.
Yeah, and then with the Bears, they didn't have a quarterback for most of his career. So
Yeah. But it's hard. I don't know. I have no idea where Hopkins will go. It's hard to predict. He wants money. Nobody wanted to trade for him for his current contract. So how much do people
good
want to
point.
pay him now? He might be a free agent for a while. Wouldn't be surprised if it lasted a little bit.
Yeah, it might be one of those things where a top receiver is going to get hurt before the season starts. So
I was gonna say like training camp. I bet he gets signed somewhere in the summer training camp.
yeah, someone's going to go down, and he's going to be the fantasy receiver that everyone's like, we all want him, but we don't know if he falls in the right position, and But yeah, I mean, his play hasn't been great the last 2 years because he's been suspended. That's another thing. He's in the He's in the drug protocol now, and if he gets popped for another failed drug test, that's a year-long suspension.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
I'm sure teams will do that background check.
Yeah, we saw him with Josh Gordon. A little different, but
He only played 9 games last year. Had 64 catches for 700 yards. Pretty good.
No, I mean he's definitely like he's just he's not really making as many explosive plays anymore, but the last 3 years, if you average it out, he's basically averaging 12 yards a catch.
He was going off the year before last year before he got popped for the suspension. He was having a really good year and a lot of good plays.
yeah, he still has the hands and red
Yeah,
zone threat. Probably one of the best red zone red zone threats in the league.
In 21, he had 8 touchdowns in 10 games. So yeah.
Yep.
Just throw it up to him. He's probably gonna come down with it.
That was when the Cardinals were going off to start that year, and then he
Hail
left,
Mary
and then
against the Bills.
yeah. All right, if we have to make a final prediction, I'm going to say Cleveland Browns.
Yeah,
I'm to Chiefs.
I'm going with I'm just gonna stick with my first thing and say Patriots. Why not? Keep it different. They
Well, we
signed
shall
Juju,
see.
but they still need a lot of help. Wide receiver.
The other big topic that's been going around recently is the NFL voted to change the kickoff rule. So now, not only can the ball go out of the end zone, or you can take a knee in the end zone, or just wave it off in the end zone. Now, I need to look this up. If you fair catch it,
Fair catch anywhere Fair caught anywhere behind the 25-yard line will be brought out to the 25, just as if the kickoff had gone through the end zone.
But if you
So
start the
now,
return,
like,
you can still like it still counts if you
It
get
says
tackled
fair
before the
catch.
25. Yeah, but if you
you
start,
fair
yeah, if you
catch
start
it
like
on the one. That's the thing. Kickers have been getting used to short kicking the ball within the 5, so you're kind of forced to get it. Or even uh, the Raiders kicker, I think, was really good about pinning teams short. So even now, like, you just got to get your hands on the ball, fair catch it, and like no matter what, like you fair catch it on the 1, the 2, the 3, 10, and
yeah,
you're getting it at the 25. So really, unless you have some like freak kick returner, which I don't even know if there is any in the league right now. Agnew on
I
the Jaguars comes to mind, but
we drafted
like
a
other
wide
than
receiver
that,
that's apparently a good kick returner. Excited to see what he does. I can't remember his name right now, but
Can you do drop kicks on kickoffs?
haven't they done it before? I thought I saw
didn't
somebody do
they?
a drop
Didn't
kick
because of
before
Justin
or a punt.
Tucker they like changed the rule on that?
I don't know.
Cause remember he was
But
drop kick. Cause remember Justin Tucker was trying to drop kick onsides, so it was really hard for the other team to get him. And the league said that they were outlawed because it was increasing the risk of injury or something.
To look that one up.
I think if anything, what we might end up
a
seeing
drop kick or
is
place kick may be used for a kickoff. During a place kick on kickoff, the kicking team may use a manufactured tee that is. Well, let's just talk about tees. It says right here NFL kickoff rules a drop kick or place kick must be used for kickoff.
well, I think we might see more squib kicks.
That's what I was going to say. Squib kicks or like really high, like punts, essentially,
But they
where
can
you're
still just
forcing.
they can still just
Well,
they can still just fair catch a punt.
Yeah, they could still just fair catch it. I'm saying if you get a longer hang time, give them more time to think about it and maybe some muffs.
That's true.
So
Yeah,
put rather than just booting it to the back of the end zone, if they're gonna fair catch it anyways, most likely to get on the 25, I would just squib it and drop kick it. So I mean, I don't hate this rule. I mean, I think it they're saying it's for player safety, I guess.
at this point, just start them at the 25. Everybody just starts at the 25. That's it. Might as well just get rid of kickoffs. What's the point?
My thing is if
If
they
teams
really
adjust, and they do start like if they like what we're saying, they do drop kicks or they squib it or they kick it short and they're trying to force more weird things to happen. I don't know. Who knows?
We'll see. I feel like with a lot of
my
drop kicks, we'll have a lot of errors and a lot of penalties with the ball going out of bounds.
Yeah, like
my thing is if
like
they
100% uptick in balls being going out of
they're
bounds and then getting taken at the 40.
they say they're
Yeah.
concerned about player safety, but they increase the Thursday night games every year, and they constantly trying to increase the schedule. So it's like, do you really care about player safety?
What they care about is this. We all know that. It's all about the money, money, money.
I'm sure I don't have them. I don't know who has them. The NFL has the statistics. I think you're right. Like money's the number one. It always has been and always will be. Nobody should be surprised by that. It is what it is. That's for
Nope.
any industry business in the world for the most part. There has to I bet you if
Number
you looked
one.
at the statistics, I'm giving the NFL the benefit of the doubt that if you looked at the statistics, the injuries on kickoffs are
Yeah,
more severe than like Thursday night injuries.
kickoffs
Like
are.
if you look at Thursday,
I think
go
they say
ahead.
kickoffs are the most dangerous play in football.
Yeah, like
But
if you
the
like I bet
injuries
you
have
if you
gone down on
pulled
kickoffs since they changed the rules already.
well, I bet you if you pulled the statistics from like here's every Thursday night game ever and like here's every kickoff in like the last like since Thursday nights have been available. I bet you the Thursday night injuries are like just as I bet you they're no more often or egregious than a Sunday game. And I bet you kickoffs they're still like injured. I'm sure because it's less kickoffs happen now because the rules they're lower, but somebody getting drilled on a kickoff that's still one of the hard that's two guys running straight at each other. That's one of the hardest impacts in the game. So I mean, yeah, Thursday you get a shorter rest or whatever. I get that, but at the end of the day, you're still playing. You're just playing football, and I don't. I'm just talking from a fan perspective.
I'm just waiting for some
And I don't
coaches to
have the stats, so
revolutionize.
I'm just guessing.
I'm just waiting for some coach to revolutionize the way that we return kicks.
Should
There's
be
nothing
some
to be
Madden changes.
revolutionized.
There's got to be a better way to do it.
Here's my thing: if they just take away kickoffs altogether, it doesn't really matter. But like those iconic, like it's the kickoff. What's it going to be called
Yeah.
now? Like first, like
Well,
you get all those Super Bowl moments where all the cameras are flashing for the kickoff and like the first game of the season. Like,
But like,
yeah,
think about it. Devin Hester's kick return on the Super Bowl wouldn't be a thing. The Music City Miracle wouldn't be a thing. Like
yeah.
iconic
Travis Kelsey
plays.
said in the New Heights podcast, he made a good point. It was just like the build up, especially to start the season. Like just that first kickoff, the camera even follows the kicker, and it's just like in Madden they do, they used to do music and it like hits perfect time. It's all a
mhm.
vibe and it's part of the game.
What's his face? Broncos running back in the '90s, really good.
Terrell Davis,
Yeah, discovered on a kickoff.
Yeah,
he was a
special
6th round
teams
pick in preseason. Yeah,
laid somebody out.
so yeah.
Has terrible migraines.
That's why they got to stop. I mean,
Correlation? I
I
don't
think the
know.
rules they added before were they've proven to work, and I don't know why if it's working, why are you trying to fix it again?
Yeah, I just think
I think
we're just on
non-contact
the.
injuries are the number one injury in the NFL besides concussions. Like, but that's not even on kickoffs anymore. You see more concussions on regular plays.
I just
My
think it's
my
a slippery slope, and we're getting slowly further and further away from the game.
Football.
I was gonna say my I don't know, like, to a certain point, NFL is a violent game no matter what you do. If you try to take they if they're gonna keep pulling back layers and layers and layers, eventually there's not gonna be anything left, and it's gonna be, flag football, which nobody wants. So, you know, like we said again, if the NFL really if their number one priority is money, I don't think it'll get to that point, but we'll s we'll see what happens this year. I mean,
I was just talking about this with Ma the other day, and because she was like, "Isn't it better to make the game safer?" And I'm like, "It's a violent sport that these guys are getting paid millions and millions of dollars. Even the minimum salary players are making more than I'll probably make in my lifetime. It is what it is. Like this isn't like the Coliseum when like they're taking like basically slaves. Like if you go back to like the Roman Coliseum or whatever, and you're giving these gladiators like statues of gold and saying anyone could enter, I'm sure they would have had half the people in the city going into those coliseums to win that money. Like, I'll
well
take a hit on kickoff. Give me $500,000 and I'll run on that field every single play for kickoff.
here's the other thing.
How many people would go to actual war for that much money? You know what I'm saying?
If you ask most from what I've seen in interviews, and I bet you if you did a survey, most NFL players there's a lot more information now, and there's still people aren't not playing football anymore. There's still, hundreds, thousands of college football teams playing football. There's 32 NFL teams. The NFL's money's still going up. Guys are playing football. They know the consequences now. Like the concussion thing, it's a known issue. I get it back in the day. Nobody talked about concussions. Nobody knew about concussions.
Yeah.
The conspiracy or whatever, the NFL tried to hide it or whatever. There's a huge lawsuit for that. Now the information's out there. Most of these guys in the NFL, I wish I had something to back up my point, but most of them would say like they know what they're getting into. Yeah, maybe I'll have, you know, a bad
Regrets 20
back or
years.
bad knee, a bad hip, maybe, God forbid, foggy memory or worse when I'm older. But for the glory and to set up generations of their family,
Family
like
wealth. Yeah,
they would
exactly.
say, yeah, why wouldn't I do that? Why would I want to trade that for, no offense to any, 9'5" person or whatever, they wouldn't want to trade that for that. Some guys come into the NFL and do, like, retire early or, don't get into it, but, that's also their decision, which nothing is wrong with that either.
And
But
my whole thing is like football is I've said it like 18 times. It's a violent sport, but like okay, basketball. I like playing basketball. I would never envision myself playing pro basketball, even college basketball. I don't have handles, can't shoot. I could work on it forever. Probably never get that. I still love playing basketball. Baseball, I love watching baseball. You know how it's incredibly hard to friggin' hit a fastball. And even if you're like, I'm not a good hitter, but I play defense, you still gotta be able to field a ball coming at you 100 miles an hour that's like that big, and then make a good throw every play
Off
on
of one
defense
hop.
to, yeah. Football, like as a fan, I can be like, listen, at one of my point in my life, I was fairly athletic. Like you could envision yourself being out there. Like, yeah, I can make tackles, put a leathery ball in my hand, I can run around and get hit, like no big deal. But I feel like they're just more and more trying to make it just as skilled of a game as possible, which is good, but it's like taking away the core of the game.
Yeah, because it's funny though, because you brought up the whole, there's a lawsuit with the concussions and all that. The game we know now would not be the same if that lawsuit ever never happened. Like a lot of these rule changes only came in place because the NFL got put on blast, and it is what it is. Like, you got caught.
The other thing is they have helmets that are like scientifically proven to decrease concussions by a huge amount. Players don't
giant
wear them.
ones.
They don't want to wear them because they're big,
They don't want
bulky, and
to.
they look stupid. It's
It
just
adds
like
10
with
more
those.
ounces to their
It's just
helmet, and
like
they feel.
those. Yeah, it's just like those pads in training camp that they don't want to wear.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, the players clearly don't care. So
I
why
I
are you
hope
making all
one
these
day a player comes along, like a center or quarterback, that just wants that wears that.
like toad?
Yeah.
But it's
That's
like,
the other
yeah,
thing too. I mean, technology is gonna, like, I mean, look at, they used to wear like leather on their heads, and now, like, they you can probably wear a football helmet's just as safe as like some cars are. I don't know. I don't know the science behind it, but yeah, I mean, there's so many points to make. I mean, football's a violent sport. You can't get around it unless you want to change what the sport is, and also safety does matter. But at the end of the day, I think the players know what they're signing up for, and honestly, it's mostly probably fans, like fans, casual fans who watch, like, oh my god, it's too violent of a hit or something like that.
Timmy, you're
And
never
obviously,
playing football.
I mean, honestly, you don't want to see certain injuries happen, like guys getting neck injuries and like they're laying on the ground, not moving, or like the Damar Hamlin thing. That was terrible, but those don't happen often.
The DeMar Hamlin thing was the
Um,
first time I've ever seen anything like that. I mean, I've heard of players, having something happen, with their hearts out in the field before, but you've never seen somebody just take a shoulder pad to the chest and then drop. That's,
I mean,
that's
we've
not a
been
common, not even close to a common. That's like you have a better chance of getting struck by lightning than that happening, in a game of football.
well, we've all been watching football for whatever 15, 20 years, like religiously.
It's a long
And
time now.
how many times have we seen an injury where, like, it like shook you? Maybe like 3 times.
Total, yeah, and
Leon
that's usually
Washington?
somebody colliding. It's like a neck,
Huh?
it's a neck issue.
Leon Washington.
Washington, yeah,
When
Even Leon Washington, that was like just gruesome because it was a
well,
broken
yeah,
bone.
exactly. I
That
was about to
might
say,
be
yeah,
weird.
ones were, yeah, exactly. Because you can say the same thing about Alex Smith too, like all those types.
Reggie
Yeah,
Bush.
Marcus Lattimore from South Carolina. Those are gruesome injuries, but the ones where like you're like, oh my god, like that's this person
Ryan
might be like
Shazier,
not, yeah. Um,
Damar Hamlin, uh,
there, Josh Cribbs on the punt return one time.
who was that Chicago Bears receiver that pretty
Johnny
much broke his
Knox.
back? Jonathan
Johnny
Knox.
Knox.
Johnny
Johnny
Knox.
Knox, yeah, he was a speedster.
Yeah, Johnny
Yeah,
Knox.
he literally like scorpioned, but like got hit in his
He
back.
dove
Like that
for a
was one.
loose. He dove
My
for a loose
back's
ball. Yeah.
my back still hurts.
I
just
did
from watching
cringe
that play.
when anytime Vontez Perfect was playing, but that was
Well,
like
he
he was a problem, and he got they got him out of the league.
I enjoyed him.
Yeah, but dude, why do you think Antonio Brown?
He's a
Like
good
literally, I
player.
watched that highlight of Antonio Brown, and I'm like, no wonder he's so freaking like spastic now and just doing random stuff and just like,
There's
and he's
there's
on a
been
whole new level of
reports
weird.
there's been reports that Antonio Brown was a head case well before
Yeah, but
that,
this
and
is a
he
different
just
type of head case. I think this kind of unleashed the beast.
Yeah, who?
He
Yeah, I
literally
mean,
was like this, where I was still in midair, and he fall like.
it's hard.
It
Yeah, I
was,
mean, it's
it
hard to
was bad.
say. You could say it's both. I'm sure there's a little bit of he was already a little bit of a head case, and I'm sure who. But I'm sure based on what they've discovered about concussions, you know, unfortunately, you don't know until the person passed away, and you can like dissect their brain
Yeah,
or
when
whatever.
it comes to CTE, but the point still stands though that, like I said, when it comes to players like actually like DeMar Hamlin and stuff like that, people's life on the line, it's only been a couple of times. Everything else is, people get knocked out walking down the street sometimes. People get knocked down in street fight. Yeah, there's been crazy stuff, especially nowadays. The internet's very uncensored. You can see a lot of stuff, even if you don't want to. You're just scrolling on Instagram. I think the shock factor is kind of, we're kind of over that, but
I'm just gonna keep my eye on the
desensitized.
league on these safety rules and see how far it gets. But
I still think the
just
other kickoff rules,
don't lose the core
were
of the
fine.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's see how this rule plays out this year, and we'll probably all forget about it. We'll see,
yeah.
unless it's
And
really
remember,
bad.
if
But
it's trash, the NFL will get rid of
They
it.
could change it.
They've
Yeah.
tried rules
Week
and
3, they
gotten rid of
go.
them.
The rule's gone. Well, it's just like that
Whose
one
idea was
rule.
this? Craig, get
Not
out.
to get
Get him out.
yeah, not to get sidetracked, but that rule about leading with the crown of your helmet, like in just regular tackles, like we
Or
hardly
running
ever see that
backs.
get called.
Maybe twice a
Um,
season,
yeah,
if that.
but anything else you guys wanted to add today?
that'll do it.
All right, so that does it for the show today. This is No Interference, and we are your host, Westside, Big Sass, and the Bull. Hope you enjoyed the show, and hopefully you like that we're dabbling in some other sports a little more here and there. If you liked it, like the show, subscribe, share, drop a comment. You can watch us on YouTube or listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And you can also follow us on social media at VNI Show on Instagram and Twitter. Again, thanks to everyone who watches. Tune in to Celtics Heat Game 7 and root on for the Celtics if you're fans of the show. But other than that, adios.
See ya.
Peace.